Thank you. Thank you, Maurice, and welcome everyone to our Monday evening Toastmasters on Zoom, our Hilltoppers Toastmasters. And as your Toastmaster this evening, I think we could start by going over our role assignments. And so if we could start with our grammarian, which is, I believe, is Olivia, if you could give us your role, your grammarian and all counter, I guess.
Good evening, everyone. My role this evening as grammarian or counter will be as follows. I will be listening for misuse of the English language while we're using, my apologies, while we are giving prepared speeches, pocket speeches, table topic responses, and the evaluations. I will also be listening for filler words, so's, likes, or those words that we use when we are trying to transition from one thought to the next, or when we should take a pause or a moments of silence to gather our thoughts. I'll count for those and give a report at the end. And I will also be listening for the use of the word of the day. And our word of the day is, our theme is fitness. And our word of the day is perfunctory or perfunctory. Yes, perfunctory. Maybe I'm saying that wrong. Perfunctory. And it's an adjective. And it says carried out with a minimum effort or reflection. He gave a perfunctory nod. That is it for my explanation of my roles this evening. I will try to put in the chat reminders for us to use the word of the day as much as possible. I will also keep a tally of that, and I will give that during the report, during our evaluation portion of the meeting. That is it for me, and back to you, David, Toastmaster.
Thank you, Olivia. And for next role, could we move on to timer, please, which I believe is Bethany.
Thank you, David. So tonight I am the timer, and my role consists of ensuring that everyone stays on track with the time for how long they are supposed to preferably do the table topics in addition to any speeches. So for 1 minute for the table topics will be green, yellow will be a minute and a half, and red will be 2 minutes. And for the speeches, 5 minutes would be green, 6 minutes would be yellow, and as for seven minutes, it would be the color red. And that concludes my explanation of my role for tonight. Back to you, David.
Thank you, Bethany. And also, can we have our role for general evaluator, which I believe is Maurice.
All right, thank you. My role as general evaluator is to give a general evaluation of the meeting as a whole, and also to introduce the evaluators for this evening, such as timer, all counter, grammarian, to give their evaluations, their respective evaluations. And that is my role as general evaluator for tonight. Back to you.
Thank you, Maurice. And finally, could we have the role of our table topics master, Caleb?
Thank you, David. As table topics master, my role will be to present a few questions and topics for us to discuss so that we can give quick and off-the-cuff answers in a perfunctory manner. I'm using the word of the day correctly. And that is my role, and back to you, David.
Thank you, Caleb. And one thing I'll say is that when we do things like go over our role assignments, it can seem like a perfunctory task, but it is an important part of Toastmasters where we can practice on our communication skills. So it's always good to put effort into it, which I think we all did this evening. So thank you very much. And I don't believe we have any prepared speeches for this evening, correct? Okay.
Correct.
So we will move straight into our table topics portion, which Caleb has agreed to be our table topics master. So I will turn the meeting over to Caleb.
Thank you, David. So in order to keep with the topic of fitness, I've assembled 10 table topics questions that are fitness related, and I'll try to give my own spin on them as well. So for the first table topics question, if I could have a volunteer, would be what do you consider to be fitness for yourself? And if you are doing or have a fitness plan, when did you start that plan? And is it going according to plan, I suppose? David, yes.
So good evening, everyone. Thank you for that question, Caleb, which was, what is my fitness plan and how is it going? And what do I consider fitness? That's an interesting question. And my entire life, I've been interested in doing healthy things. And part of that is fitness. So I have, every week I do strength training and cardiovascular exercises. On Monday, Wednesday, Fridays, typically, sometimes it changes, I'll do strength training. I do that 3 days a week. And it's not like I'm trying to bulk up like Arnold Schwarzenegger, because I'm not that body type. And also I'm getting older. So if I lift heavy weights, I have joint problems, but I do quite a few things. And in addition to that, I also do some jogging, a lot of walking, and some bicycling. It's exercise, I find, it's not fitness is more than just exercise. It's also about my mental health. When I'm active, I just feel better. And that's one of the things that motivates me. There's been times in my life where I slacked off a little bit, but most of my life I've been fairly consistent. And it's really made a difference in how I feel. Sometimes people will come up to me and ask, how do you keep doing it? How do you keep, because at work, I would organize walks. We would walk during our breaks, and people, and it did not matter what the weather, how cold it was or how hot it was. Only rain would stop us from walking because I couldn't go back to work wet. And so doing that was, the motivation was just simply it just feels good. And I also would love to live a long, healthy life if possible. So that's what motivates me to keep going with fitness. So thank you, and back to you, Caleb.
Thank you, David. I really liked your answer because that's how I also view fitness. My mental health 5-6 years ago, which coincides when I started the master's program, was horrible. I had terrible mental health. And it didn't really turn around until I started working out consistently in about my second or third year of graduate school in the PhD program. And during that time, I went from being 110 pounds soaking wet, which was horrible for my body type and height, to 145 pounds, which was a big change for me and really helped my mental health along the way. My second question, and I think tying into that, is do you prefer group or solo exercises? And
I'll
why
take
is that?
one.
Oh, yes. Olivia, if you want to
I'm
go
sorry,
ahead.
I'll answer that one. Yeah, do you prefer, I'm sorry, I think I jumped in before you were done answering the question. And the question is, do you prefer group or solo exercises, and why?
Right.
Group or solo? Okay, I will answer that one. And my answer, good evening, fellow Toastmasters. My answer to the question of do I prefer group or solo exercises is I prefer solo. Sometimes, for one, I am spontaneous. Secondly, sometimes I can be a little extreme. And thirdly, I can be rather unpredictable, even for myself. I will go in with a mind and plan when I start to work out or going for a walk or even at the gym. And then all of a sudden I will switch and say, oh, you know what? I think I'm going to do this. And I too, like David, and as well as you, Caleb, I work out because it provides such clarity for me when I am stressed or when I have to think about something or when I have something on my mind, just whatever it may be, whether it be good or bad, I can always, when I'm working out, exercising, my mind is super clear and I can function better. And I've noticed that when I bring people along, they want to talk. I do not want to talk. This is a personal time for me. And I have organized quite a few walks, David, with coworkers and things like that. And those are good too, just a social event. Sometimes we get to catch up on the work gossip, like, no way, but I find out that that is not as beneficial to me as just simply being able to be at peace, enjoy my workout, feel my heart. I can feel my blood all the way to my toes, it seems like. So it's just a time for me to connect with my body physically as well as my mind spiritually. So I am a solo girl when it comes to working out. And I'm not perfunctory at all when I am working out. It is a matter of heart. Back to you, Table Topics Master.
Thank you, Olivia. I have to agree, at least in some exercises, I really prefer to work out by myself. When I was young, I was a cross-country runner, and I think the only reason I was a cross-country runner was because no one talks to you when you're running 7 miles through the woods. That was fantastic.
Right.
I hate team sports. Now that I'm doing weight training, it's a bit different because I don't like dropping weights on myself.
Right.
For
And I was just going to say, oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but I was just going to say my husband taught me, he was a fitness trainer, and he taught me how to not require a spotter. So what I would normally use a barbell for, I just put both in hand. I just use dumbbells, so I can still do some deadlifting, shoulder press, chest press, and all that. But I just don't put the bar across because he's always said if something goes wrong, just drop the dumbbell, but you can't drop a bar. So yeah, so that eliminates that for my type of lifting.
Right. Well, that makes sense. It's something I should keep in mind too before I hurt myself. My next question, technology and fitness. Now that times are changing and that technology is everywhere, it seems like everyone has a new smartwatch or some other gadget or gizmo, excuse me, to track your health in some way. So the question is, what role does technology play in your fitness regime? Maurice, have you heard that?
Yes, fellow Toastmasters and honored guests, what technological gadget plays a role in my fitness? To tell you the truth, I don't have any specifically, but by accident, I hit the health app on my iPhone and it counted the steps that I took, whatever period of time I had the phone in my pocket. So it's making me conscious on using this app maybe a little more just to see how it works. And if there comes a time to where I actually use it, I won't use it in a perfunctory manner. I'll use it in a more focused and a more spirited manner. So that is one gadget that I may use more in the future. Back to you, Tabletop Master.
Thank you, Maurice. It's always a strange thing when you first find the health app and you see that it's been tracking just how far you've been walking for the past however long. That freaked me out when I first realized it. For my next question, have there ever been any challenges that you've had to overcome in your health or fitness journey. For example, a couple months back, I completely decimated my piriformis muscle and it killed my deadlifts and squats for a couple months. But is there any health challenge that you've had to overcome? Or if not, what would you do to overcome that challenge?
If no one else answers, I'll take it. Well, who else we have? Unless Bethany wants that one. Okay, I can take it. Oh, go ahead, Bethany. So you will answer it?
Yes, I can do it. Can someone time me?
Let me get something. Hold on. I always struggle with this when I'm trying to do it on the phone. Hold on just a minute. Let's see. Stopwatch. Okay, I'm ready.
Okay. The question that was posed to me was, have I had any health challenges that have affected my fitness journey? And honestly, I really haven't had that many physical challenges that have impeded my ability to go to the gym and to take care of myself physically and mentally. However, I do have certain time constraints due to school and other responsibilities. So for me, that's the biggest determinant for how often I'm able to go to the gym, and the amount of effort I'm able to put in is based off of what rotation I'm on, in addition to the timing of everything else. Especially on my surgery rotation, I had a bit of a challenge trying to get into the gym. And also, it was very physically demanding. So, standing up during an operation for 4 hours and then trying to muster up the strength to go to the gym, it was a lot during that rotation. So, instead of going into the full workouts, I would try to just do shorter versions of what I was already doing. And it pretty much worked out for me. I was able to stay consistent with my goals and to have a greater appreciation for the ability to manage my time and to still do the things that were important for me. And that concludes my answer. Back to you, Caleb.
Thank you, Bethany. I'm sorry if you keep hearing documents fall to my floor. My office is not organized. But I definitely understand time constraints, especially when it comes to physical exercise and taking care of oneself. As I'm sure you all can see, I'm still in work at 7 p.m. and we'll probably be here for another hour at least. So time really does make it hard, but that's good that you were able to stick to it and keep meeting your goals. For my next, oh, do we have time for another question?
Sure, yeah, we could go a couple of more at least.
Okay. Let's see. What is your favorite fitness activity? Open to anyone.
I'll answer that one.
All right,
What
Olivia.
is my favorite fitness activity? And for me, it is the weight training. I really like to see just how strong I am, or to see myself building muscle. And especially when I'm in the gym and I'm looking at some men and I'm like, wow, we're lifting the same weights. And I get it. It doesn't have to be heavy weights in order for it to be effective. However, I have always just admired my strength. When I was in high school, I used to bench press 200 pounds. So I was always been extremely strong. And of course, I can't do that anymore. I'm far from high school, but I still just really enjoy the strength training, weightlifting. That's my favorite form of activity. And back to you, Caleb, Table Topics Master.
Thank you, Olivia. 200 pounds is an impressive bench. I think the highest that I've been up to is 165 to 175. And I still, under that much weight, I get kind of panicky. For my
Oh yeah,
next
I would
question,
definitely be panicky.
for my next question, trying to go a bit deeper now. How do you believe society looks at fitness in our culture today? And do you think we have a healthy perception of what fitness should be? Maurice, do you have your hand up?
Yes. Fellow Toastmasters and honored guests, the question that's been posed, what do I think is society's perception of fitness? Well, the average person's perception of fitness is someone who might be a fitness model, a bodybuilder, etc. There are more people, probably fewer than what is typical, that, and it is increasing more and more, that physical fitness, mental fitness, and spiritual fitness go hand in hand. And that is increasing. I mean, I don't have statistics, but I feel that's increasing in society, the multiple facets of fitness, besides what a typical person, let's say years ago, thought about fitness. Because more and more now, the mental aspect of fitness is being looked at more than years past. And that is my answer of what society perceives of fitness. Back to you, Topics Master.
Thank you, Maurice. I have to agree with you. I think that society is shifting that way to see fitness as not just, oh, I'm going to be a bodybuilder or I'm going to be a fitness model, but it's this conglomeration of different goals in order to improve health. This brings me to my next question. How do you think your fitness routine is going to change 10 years from now? Is it going to be the same or is it going to be different? And why? Oh, David is raising his hand.
Yes. Thank you, Caleb. The question is, how will my fitness routine change 10 years from now and why? And I've come to appreciate, I'm 59 years old, and I've come to appreciate as I get older that my body is not what it used to be. I'm still in good shape. I can still do a lot, but as time goes on, we get older, and that's the natural process is that our bodies become weaker. So I always have that in mind when I exercise. That's one of the reasons I don't do heavy weights anymore. And so as I think 10 years from now, I would hope that I am still doing strength training and cardiovascular exercises, but just also listening to my body. And when I need to slow down some or take a break, I'll do that. I tell people that all the time, listen to your body. That's the main thing. And that doesn't mean, and sometimes my mind will say, oh, I don't want to do this. And that's not what I'm talking about. But if I'm feeling something, then I try to listen to it. And I'll also say along those lines that one thing I've learned and take advantage of is that fitness or physical activity is not something that just has to be done formally in a gym or with putting on special jogging shoes and going running. when I was working, we'd have these large reams of paper that were delivered that went into our big plotters, and they were heavy. And when they were delivered, we'd have to move them around and put them in certain places. And nobody wanted to do that, but I would always volunteer to do it because I was like, hey man, it's a free workout. You can do this and you're still getting, so activity is everything. Everything we do in life that's physical is activity. So it doesn't just have to be formal as well. So I remember that as I age as well. So thank you, Caleb, for that great question. And back to you.
Thank you, David. You actually brought up something really interesting, and it's a small, well, not exactly small, but something that's really been looked at in science lately. And there's obviously the overall fitness, going to the gym, running, etc. But the activity of doing the small things, like how many times you choose the stairs over the elevator, how many times you volunteer for something that will take effort, that all comes together and it adds up. And if you have that mindset or that lifestyle, it really starts to accumulate, which I thought was interesting. Do we want to do one more, or do we want to move on?
Yeah, you could do it one more.
Okay. Let me find my list. So on the days where you're struggling to go to the gym, do you think it is a mental challenge or a physical challenge? Is it your brain saying you really don't want to do this, or is your body just completely spent? Maurice has raised his hand, so I'll hand it over to you.
Yes. Fellow Toastmasters and honored guest, when I struggled to do my exercise routine, for me personally, it's more of a mental thing. And it might be because I'm just thinking about too many other things I got to do that day, even though I might be able to squeeze all that into my day, but because my mind is overwhelmed with the things I have to do, I just skip the exercise. And then at the end of the day, I don't end up doing all the other stuff, some of the other stuff that was weighing on my mind. And I could have done the exercise for that day. So that is an answer to that question. And I guess I would give a perfunctory nod or a perfunctory. Wow, it's crazy. These little words that I got the big word, the little word I would attach to it. I can't. I guess a perfunctory sneer at exercise. Back to you, table topics master.
Thank you, Maurice. But perfunctory is a hard word to just toss in, especially when you're not in the habit of using it. But then getting that word and then trying to follow it up with the proper, not adjective, adverb, but my grammar is horrible. Anyway, I believe that was our last question. So I will hand my lectern back over to the Toastmaster for this evening, which is David.
Thank you, Caleb. I do greatly appreciate this table topics. They were wonderful and everyone gave some great answers. Moving on, we are now approaching or at our evaluation portion of the meeting, and our general evaluator for this evening is Maurice. So would you please take the lectern, Maurice?
Thank you. At this time, I would like to introduce my evaluation team, and we will start with the timer report with Bethany.
Thank you, Maurice. So going into our times for today for our table topics. As for Maurice, your first table topic was 1 minute and 12 seconds. Your second one was 1 minute and 31 seconds. And then your third was 1 minute and 24 seconds. As for David, your first table topic was 1 minute and 43 seconds. And then your second one was 1 minute and 45 seconds. As for Olivia, the first table topic that you did was 2 minutes and 10 seconds, and the second was 45 seconds long.
And Bethany, your speech for table topics was 1 minute and 21 seconds.
Okay. Thank you, Olivia.
Thank you.
Thank you, Maurice.
All right, thank you. At this time, we will do the all counter and grammarian's report with Olivia.
Sure thing. I am happy to announce that I did not hear any misuse of the English language or any ahs, you knows, likes, none of those similar words from anyone. My apologies if I overlooked or misheard. David, you used the word of the day once. I used it once. And Maurice, I think you were trying to find a way to add to it, but I put you down for using it 3 times. Did I miss anyone else for using the word of the day? Oh, Caleb. Caleb, I'm sorry. I think you used it as well when you were giving your explanation of it. So we'll count that as 1 for you as well. And that is my report. Back to you, Maurice.
All right, thank you. Now for the general evaluation of the meeting as a whole. And this, hopefully this general evaluation of the meeting as a whole is minimally perfunctory or not perfunctory at all. We had a 5-minute recess. We started at around 6:35 p.m. And then from there, we went smoothly through the table topics and the roles in the general evaluation roles, timer, all counters report, and the table topics master. And we had a nice table topics with the theme being fitness and the word of the day perfunctory. And I intentionally did not specify the type of fitness in the theme. And that is my general evaluation of the meeting as a whole. And at this time, I will relinquish the lectern as general evaluator, and I will relinquish it back to the Toastmaster.
Thank you, Maurice, and all of our evaluation team for those evaluations. And moving on, the next section, if we have one, would be an educational overview. I don't believe we have any tonight. And do we have any awards? I don't think so. So thank everyone for participating. I enjoyed my time as Toastmasters, and I think we all got some good practice on our communication skills. And with that, I will turn the meeting back to our president, Maurice.
All right. Thank you, David. And I hope you all had a great night at this Toastmasters meeting. And I bid you all good night.